The story begins with a talk between a young boy named Sean and his kind mother, Mary. Then, things get intense when Sean and his dad witness a scary carjacking, and his mom sadly dies in front of them. 10 years pass, but the memory of his mom getting hurt stays with Sean. It turns him into a serious person who doesn't want to make friends, even in high school. He can't stand any violence, not even small stuff like older students teasing younger ones, or he gets really upset. To calm down, he secretly takes medicine hidden in his bandage box, so his dad won't know. Even though he has these struggles, he's good at school and studies things that aren't even in his classes, like chemistry. But when his dad, Terry, asks about his grades, they don't talk much. Their relationship is distant, more like strangers than father and son ever since Sean's mom died. One day, Terry goes to visit Sean's mom's resting place and says sorry for not coming sooner. He tells her that Sean has a new friend and wants to go to a party with him. Seeing Sean starting to come back to life makes Terry feel better. Meanwhile, Sean gets on a train and suddenly remembers when his dad used to hurt him because he drank too much. His mom, Mary, was the one who helped him get through it. She took him to music lessons to get away from their bad home. Back to the present, Sean walks by a park and sees a woman who's addicted to drugs begging her dealer for more time to pay for the drugs she got. After she leaves, two guys, Tony and Stretch, notice Sean watching. When they threaten Sean, he accuses Tony of killing a child. This makes Tony angry, and he starts to hurt Sean. But Sean fights back and takes Tony's gun. In a surprising twist, Sean shoots him. This is when Sean shows that he's not just a quiet kid. He's someone who can defend himself and others, even the memory of a child who died. The movie transitions to Teresa Ames, a police officer juggling personal issues, including her ex-husband's interference in their son's life. She's also handling a significant case involving convicted drug dealer Larry Childs, who committed a double murder. Unexpectedly, Larry's court hearing is postponed, allowing his lawyer more time to seek his release. Teresa's exemplary record in the anti-crime and drug unit leads to her promotion to the homicide unit, where she partners with Gary. In the same unit, she encounters Officer Bill Baldwin, a longtime acquaintance of Sean's, who occasionally lets Sean use his computer. As night falls and Teresa prepares to leave the police station, she crosses paths with Sean, who's using the printer discreetly. Sean mentions his connection to Officer Bill before departing. Intrigued, Teresa examines the paper Sean printed and finds the cryptic word, tricelerin. She doesn't think much of it initially and heads to her car, only to discover a flat tire. Seeing her struggle, Sean steps in to help and they start talking about the case Teresa is working on. Sean knows Teresa from the news reports about Larry Child's trial, so he asks if the person responsible will escape punishment. Teresa tells him it's out of her hands if Larry makes a deal. After the tire is fixed, Teresa offers Sean a ride home, but he politely declines and chooses to take the train instead. The next morning, Sean is working hard, practicing his punches on a punching bag, and his dad, Terry, joins him, giving him tips on how to hit harder. Despite Terry's sincere efforts to be a father figure in Sean's life, the painful memories of how he used to abuse Mary and Sean still haunt Sean's thoughts. In a vivid flashback, we see Terry, who is drunk, having a heated argument with his wife about Sean's piano practice. Mary bravely stands up for her son, begging Terry to spare the child from torment. Unfortunately, Terry's anger escalates into violence as he physically abuses his wife and demands her silence if she wants to continue living in their house. Despite the passage of time, Sean continues to be haunted by these painful memories. The story gets more complex when Stretch, the drug dealer, files a report about Tony's murder, the man Sean killed. However, there's no evidence to go on. Gary thinks they shouldn't focus on the case because Tony was involved in drug dealing and had a dark history, possibly making him a target for many. But Teresa is not convinced. She starts asking Gary about Sean and learns that Sean's mother was killed right in front of him a decade ago. Sean visits the police station daily with Bill's permission, scouring mugshots in the hopes of identifying his mother's killer. Teresa offers to assist him in uncovering the truth, despite initial hesitation from Sean. The scene shifts to a prostitute's room, where she tries to refuse her drug-dealing client, Joe, due to illness. Joe reacts violently, and Sean intervenes to protect her. A confrontation ensues, resulting in injuries to both Sean and Joe. Unbeknownst to Joe, Sean intentionally selected him from a database to end his cruelty. Sean shoots Joe, killing him instantly. The following day, Teresa and Gary investigate Joe's death and meet the prostitute, who reveals Joe's involvement in a 13-year-old girl's murder, for which he escaped punishment. She only mentions Sean's black attire and believes that God sent him to save her. Teresa begins to suspect that the same person responsible for Tony's murder may also be connected to Joe's death. Teresa and Gary go to the morgue to check if the bullet taken from Joe matches the one from Tony's body. While there, Teresa has a sudden realization that Joe might be the person Sean was looking for the day before. She asks Dr. Coroner about triceleron, the word she saw on Sean's printed paper. The doctor and his assistant confirm that triceleron is a poisonous substance that can cause severe swelling and suffocation in the esophagus. Dr. Coroner also confirms that the bullet found in both victims is the same, proving that one person is responsible for both murders. To get closer to Sean and learn more about him, Teresa invites him to lunch. During their conversation about her personal life, they go to a Chinese restaurant, where a couple starts hurling abusive remarks in Chinese. To their surprise, Sean reveals that he's fluent in Chinese and sternly warns the couple. Teresa learns that Sean's mother encouraged him to learn multiple languages. As they talk about Sean's mother, Teresa tells him that her case seems to be a random carjacking with no leads, and she advises Sean to move on and have a normal teenage life. This frustrates Sean, and he questions Teresa about what she would do if he knew who the murderer was. Teresa emphasizes the importance of due process and the need for evidence before charging someone with a crime. This only makes Sean angrier as he points out the flaws in the system and the injustice of criminals like Larry Childs evading punishment due to these flaws. Later that night, at Bill Baldwin's retirement party, Teresa keeps connecting the dots between Tony and Joe's cases, noting that both men got away with murder. She asks Bill about Sean, but he responds rudely, accusing her of following them, and tells her to leave Sean alone. As they board a train home, a Chinese woman asks for help to stop a fight between two men. A few minutes earlier, a drug addict had boarded the same train and started harassing a woman. Sean, in the same cabin, discreetly applies a black substance to his face and asks a Chinese boy to escort his mother out of the train so she doesn't see what's about to happen. A confrontation with the drug addict leads to a physical fight, and Sean gains the upper hand. The Chinese woman reports the fight to the train officers, who see Sean in a black outfit but don't recognize him. Teresa tries to catch the boy, but Sean manages to escape. In a fit of anger and concern, Sean's father confronts him about his steroid use, demanding answers and an explanation for his actions. Following the incident on the train, Teresa receives information from one of her colleagues that the attacker spoke Chinese to the boy and his mother, asking them to leave before starting the fight. This revelation makes Sean a suspect in Teresa's investigation. The next day, Sean has a dream where Teresa arrests him, but it's just a dream. It's Sean's birthday, and Terry takes him to his mother's favorite restaurant to celebrate with some cake. Surprisingly, they run into Terry's old friend, Aaron, who remembers him as Rock from his boxing days. Aaron, now the restaurant's owner, has some old photos of Terry and his friends and shares stories about Terry's past as an alcoholic who got into street fights. Terry apologizes for the abrupt reunion and leaves his contact information for Aaron. Terry then takes Sean to a boxing match and spends quality time with his son, even taking him to the place where Mary tragically lost her life. Terry helps Sean understand that he should let go of the past and embrace his life. He apologizes to Sean for the pain his addiction and violent nature caused, promising to support and care for his son from now on. The next day, Teresa visits Bill's house and demands an explanation about Sean. Bill reluctantly invites her inside and reveals the truth about the night of Mary's death. He explains that Sean was so traumatized that he couldn't express his emotions, and when he identified a person in a mugshot lineup, Terry dismissed it. Sean remained silent about that night until recently when he saw the criminal's photo in the news. He still believes that Larry Childs is his mother's murderer, the same man Teresa is determined to bring to justice. Later that day, Sean thanks Teresa for her support and expresses his determination to move forward with his life. He goes to a party with a friend, and Teresa, unwilling to let go of the case, follows him and waits outside. There, she learns from Gary that Larry Childs has made a deal with the district attorney, facing only a 2-year prison sentence and witness protection, effectively avoiding punishment for his murders. Inside the party, Sean has a flashback of Larry Childs calling his father, Rock, on the night of the incident. Realizing that only Terry's friends use that name, he senses something is amiss. In a sudden turn of events, Sean witnesses another act of violence, this time involving a school bully harassing a female friend. Unable to tolerate such behavior, Sean loses control and violently beats the bully. His friend manages to stop him, and Sean rushes to Aaron's restaurant, with Teresa preparing to follow him. On his way, Sean is haunted by the echoes of Larry's voice and revisits the haunting memory of that night when Terry stopped their car in the darkness. It was Larry Child who confronted Terry, said something to him, and tragically took Mary's life with a gunshot after a rear-end collision. The pieces of the puzzle start coming together in Sean's mind, leading him to break into Aaron's restaurant. By the time Teresa arrives, Sean has already left. Teresa explores the restaurant and stumbles upon old photos of Terry and Larry Childs together. Meanwhile, Terry arrives home and discovers that his house has been ransacked. He contacts the police to report a break-in and, during his investigation, finds Sean sitting in the basement, heavily intoxicated. In a tense confrontation, Sean accuses Terry of conspiring with Larry Childs to murder his mother. He believes Terry orchestrated the crime to claim her life insurance money and escape the slums. Terry denies this, but Sean insists, pointing a gun at his father's chest. In a tragic turn of events, Sean shoots and kills his father. As Teresa confronts Sean, he claims that Terry hired Larry Childs to kill his mother, with the murder weapon on the table. In a crucial moment, Sean pleads with Teresa for assistance. Realizing that not all justice can be achieved through the legal process, Teresa decides to dispose of the murder weapon in the river. Sometime later, Sean writes a letter to Larry Childs, who is serving a 2-year sentence, offering forgiveness and seeking the truth about his father's involvement. He includes 2 stamps and a return envelope, instructing Larry to use a black stamp if his father is guilty and a red stamp if he is innocent. Larry, a scoundrel, sends the letter back with a red stamp, but Sean laces the stamp glue with tricelerin, causing Larry to die of a swollen esophagus and suffocation. The movie ends with uncertainty about whether Sean's father is innocent or if Larry is playing mind games with him. It leaves viewers pondering the moral complexities of justice and revenge.